First of all, I have some thank yous, and I need to get them in now. I really want to thank all of you, because I think this couldn't be really more of an impressive turnout. I want to thank the senators and congressmen from both sides of the aisle, and to all of our co-sponsors. I particularly want to thank my wife for letting me do this, and we really did. And frankly, most of all, I'd like to thank God for giving us Jerusalem. This event really proves that if there's any issue that unites, it's Jerusalem. It is united forces that tend to have the most natural rifts. It is shown today that we can have bipartisan leadership on a political level here in Washington, across the political map in Israel, and even representatives of us, the Jewish community, coming across from different perspectives. We're sponsored by 25 Jewish organizations, and these organizations have come together in a time when they many times don't ordinarily do that. By coming together, we celebrate the unity of Jerusalem, and we mark a miracle. And by coming together, I think we're perpetuating that miracle. Some of us for this, it's really showing an appreciation to God for returning the Jewish historic capital to his people, and to thank the great leadership of the United States of America for its tremendous support. Jerusalem has always been the capital of the Jewish people since the time of King David, over 3,000 years ago, when Washington was just a twinkle in the eye. As Israel's national anthem was so beautifully sung today, we have yearned to return to Israel for 2,000 years. And in our lifetimes, in our very lifetimes, we've been able to accomplish that. That, for me, has been a tremendous miracle. I must tell you that I was born in a DP camp. I come from parents who were survivors, and they were hidden in Poland during the war, while Jews all around them were killed. Their families were destroyed. My parents lost a child during the war. And being as survivors, surviving was always a big part of them. When 1967 came, they were understandably extremely fearful for the people of Israel. If you remember, mass graves were dug for Israelis as the Arab armies surrounding the Jewish state prepared for war. We were outnumbered. There was no chance that we were going to win. And it was a miracle that we did. But winning the war against all odds certainly increased their faith. We had relatives, unfortunately, who had abandoned their faith and Jewish practice because of the Holocaust. They had survived, and they couldn't really continue to be faithful. But during 1967, they returned, seeing the miracles that occurred at that time. As a teenager, I remember cutting school with Seymour and sometimes Ella, who are here today, and we tried our best to do everything we could to free Soviet Jews. We were totally unsuccessful. We went from rally to rally. We tried our best. We tried our most. The Six-Day War came, and it changed everything. It changed the kind of hope that Soviet Jewry had. It affected us immensely. And as a result of it, we have over 1 million Jews successfully in the Jewish state, contributing so much today. So it's been an extraordinary accomplishment. 67 did so much. David Ben-Gurion, Israel's first prime minister, said that in Israel, to be a realist, one must believe in miracles. And it was miracle after miracle after miracle that we saw. The prophet Micha prophesizes that there will come a day, as in the days of your exodus from the land of Egypt, I will show you him wonders. That is what we've had in this period that we've lived through. 1967 was another time where Jews went out of Mitzrayim. We left Egypt after 400 years of bondage, after 3,000 years of not having a capital. 1967 returned that to us. We marked the Seder with bitter herbs. Today we're celebrating just by raising glasses. Frankly, we're doing that without the bitter herbs because the Jewish people truly, truly have suffered enough. We can't allow suffering to ever happen again. Jerusalem has suffered from suicide bombers, snipers, stabbers, and other threats. Its security is never quite guaranteed. Today, it is threatened by those who want to make war, and sometimes by well-meaning people who want to make peace by dividing the city that no other nation has had as its capital. As has been said here before, in December, UNESCO passed, or rather the Security Council passed 2334, and declared that the establishment by Israel of settlements in the Palestinian territory occupied since 1967, including East Jerusalem, has no legal validity and constitutes a flagrant violation under international law. There were 14 countries who voted for that. Let's not forget the fact that we didn't veto it. We in the United States didn't veto it. But 14 other countries vetoed, not only didn't veto that, they were silent. They voted for it. Rebuilding, our decision in Israel to build and rebuild ancient synagogues in the Jewish quarter of the old city of Jerusalem is a war crime? Does that make any sense? Is that at all possible? Now, in regard to the comments that have been made about President Trump and showing support for Jerusalem by making it one of the key stops on his first trip, that certainly shows his support, it certainly shows his dedication, it certainly shows how committed he is. But frankly, when National Security Advisor McMaster yesterday twice didn't know where the Western Wall was and whose sovereign, whether it was a sovereign part of Israel, and refused to answer, really created a scary situation for all of us. Thank God, as has been mentioned, for Nikki Haley. We all of us in this room cannot give up hope that President Trump will keep his promise to enable America's embassy in Israel to move where it belongs. Jerusalem is the home of Israel's government, parliament, Supreme Court, and no country should be able to tell another where its capital should be. Moving the embassy will tell the world that America will honor its commitments to its allies. Countries around the world will see the U.S. reward Israel, its ultimate ally, and know that after 8 years, when it was unclear, they now must be on America's side. Menachem Begin told Israelis that if they did not take action to control Jerusalem during the Six-Day War, future generations would not forgive them. It's known that in that unity government with General Dayan, there was discussion of not going further. That is the situation that we live in today. Jerusalem, the city has become bound together with the eternal capital of Israel and the land of Israel, shall not be subjected to any division and must continue to be the way it is and continue from generation to generation. Finally, the law requiring the embassy to be moved has been in the news lately, more than lately, more every hour it seems. But people forget that the same law that passed in 1995, but has never been implemented because of presidential waivers, would also make formal recognition by America that Jerusalem is Israel's capital. That is even more reason for every organization, all of us, to come together and make sure that we do everything in our power to ensure that to happen. Jews have been in Jerusalem for 3,300 out of the last 3,500 years, making our claim to the city stronger than that of anyone else. As far back as 1980, British writer Robert Richardson estimated the number of Jews to be 10,000, twice the number of Muslims. And lastly, I just want to stress the most important of points, that in 1967, None of us, no one in this room, no one could possibly have visited the holy sites. So together today, we're in a city that we're all proud of, and that's why we're here today to celebrate. And what I want to say last is that I thank all of you for coming. I want to acknowledge all the people who I've yet to acknowledge. We'll do that at the end of the program. But I want you to know and feel with me that God has blessed Jerusalem. Now may God bless America.